What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's going on with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down why tomorrow is going to be another important day as we have big data coming out in the morning. We also have some big earnings that just came out. And also, I'm going to break down what's happening with NIO share price. But before I break into all this information, before I talk about the earnings that just came out, what all of this data means for NIO, especially going into tomorrow, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, now let's break down what's happening to NIO. Looking at NIO, this thing got a nice bounce today. As we predicted, we saw this thing hit my target of 6.25. We're off by about 4 cents, but still it reached another pump. We saw SPY pump alongside Tesla, and this is exactly what we predicted from yesterday. So we actually got the move, got this nice inverse head and shoulders like structure on NIO, and I could see a little bit more upside potential as we get closer to our 200 EMA. But the question is, will we keep pumping in a straight line or what else is going to affect us? I do want to note we have some more data coming out, especially for tomorrow. So an hour before the market opens, we have PPI data coming out. Core PPI, all of this is going to be very important to understand inflation. This is another inflationary measure for the wholesale side. And then you can't forget that after all that data comes out, we have just two more things, basically a couple of Fed speakers. So we have Barr at 9:10 a.m. Then we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report data, the 5-year inflationary expectations and such. And Dowley from the Fed will give a speech at 12:10 p.m. So we have some Fed speakers, a couple of other things, and very, very wild stuff coming out. Now, with PPI, this could be a little bit unpredictable, so be very careful with how we open. But nonetheless, the charts still look bullish from a technical standpoint. For earnings, I just want to go over these real quick before I talk about NIO. Don't forget we had DraftKings, Coinbase, and Roku announcing their earnings. Starting with Coinbase, this was the strongest of them all. This hit a record revenue, going up to $953 million, beating analysts' expectations. And you guys can see right over here, they absolutely crushed it. They also ended up seeing a big increase in revenue relative to what they saw in Q4, and earnings came in very, very strongly. So right here for Q4, they did 953 million in revenue. They beat expectations, and they also ended up beating expectations on EPS. We were expecting 2 cents per share. They actually did $1.04, well above what we were expecting. Very, very strong earnings from them. On top of this, their guidance, we're still waiting for more things about guidance to come out, but so far things are very strong. The share price is already up like 12%, so I don't really see it coming down anyways. So it looks bullish. We're looking at more free cash flow that's going to be coming from their 8 out of the 11 spot Bitcoin ETF issuers. That's big for them. There's also news right here about their transaction revenue showing strength. Subscriptions are estimated to actually increase, and they actually have relatively good guidance so far. So, in my opinion, strong guidance from Coinbase, very, very strong price action. Share price is up well over 10%. DraftKings had a mixed earnings overall. They had an adjusted EPS of 29 cents per share, which is actually an improvement compared to before, but not as strong as what all estimates were. And they also saw right over here revenue growth of 1.24 billion, kind of a weak revenue growth. That's not what we were expecting. Guidance is kind of mixed, not the strongest either. So with that being said, that's actually showing 27 to 34% growth overall. They had to kind of like lower this range just slightly. It's not the strongest of stuff. And there's actually a deep depreciation in their guidance right here. So it's not the best of news. Kind of mixed for DraftKings. For Roku, this also did not have the strongest of earnings. This tumbled as a result of them. And we actually have the numbers right over here somewhere. So you guys can see that they actually did not have the strongest EPS. Not everything was that great. They beat on EPS. I'm sorry about that, but their revenue is kind of mixed. But the full year guidance has come out, and it's not looking as great as what many of these people were wishing for. So with sliding user revenue in Q4 and guidance being kind of mixed, Roku is down just a little bit. So very, very mixed earnings. Now, as far as NIO goes, I want to talk about NIO real quick. We got the insurance registrations 2 days ago. This actually came out yesterday. So this is very important. NIO actually saw about 3,000 for the second week of February, which is actually the same as what we got previously. That's part of why this thing is pumping a little bit. So there's a slight improvement. We actually saw 1948 the week before that one. So We got a nice increase there, and we're seeing some buyers stepping in as a result of that. On top of all of this, we also have more articles talking about the NIO price projections for the future, looking at different things out there from their capabilities and such. We actually have this article right here that's breaking it down. So, based off many analyst expectations, many are still saying that because it's below $7, it's not in the best of places. But on top of this, they're saying that NIO will work to boost its sales and such. So, there is still potential for it to essentially increase in value. But this article is saying that for this year, it's in a very weak place because it's below $7. And they're saying that it might even crash towards $5 before it gets a bounce. So that's what this article is saying. I find myself in agreeance and disagreements simultaneously. I think that there is a risk of NIO falling in the future. Again, it is still a possibility, but I believe that the guidance is going to be strong moving forward. I think they're going to improve their sales forecasts. They're going to get a lot more deliveries, and they're going to improve those margins nonetheless. So, in my view, it is true that NIO has hardships, but the long term is still very bright. I'm not really losing faith in that. I think the full year guidance could still be bullish, but we have to see it after the first, I would say the second quarter basically ends. 54 million was the volume, very close to average. The short volume relative to price was a little bit down to about 41%. And on top of this, Bank of America Securities has essentially just downgraded NIO from a buy to neutral. There's not really anything else changing. The price price ratio is bouncing a little bit. NIO is gaining some strength. We also have a tendency of being green about 53% of the time on Friday, so there's a good chance NIO will try to get green. We have some resistance to break. Watch for more volatility at 2 p.m., so we'll see how that goes. As far as NIO goes, the share price is looking kind of bullish right over here. The 4 hours looking kind of good, and we have to see if this thing can try to break 6.25. On the daily time frame, the daily is looking kind of bullish as well. So I could see this pushing a little higher towards 6.5, but we have to break 6.25. Also, watch the uh, daily 20 EMA. So we have to see if this thing can try to break this. Now we have this gap on the daily. Are we going to retrace a bit towards 6 and then bounce and start pushing or not? I think it might retrace a little bit, hit 6 and then bounce for 6.25. So look for a little drop in bounce and see if this thing can try to break out. If we keep holding above 6, then we're going to be looking for a bounce. So I think it's going to come down a bit then bounce, and then we're going to be looking to see how it moves from there. Tesla's also on fire. This thing is currently at about 200. We have this gap to fill it towards 207. Plus, there's a nice inverse head and shoulders, which would take it to 212. So I think that 207 to 212 is coming. Tesla looks very bullish in my eyes. SPY looks a little bit more bullish. I could see it pushing towards 503.5. We still look bullish on the daily. And I think if we break that, 505 is coming. So I could see it pushing a little bit higher, especially going into tomorrow. But don't forget about PPI. That's also going to affect us. We do have some big data. So we'll see how this external factor affects us. But despite PPI, the charts still look bullish. Apple looks like it might bounce after it just announced a new AI tool that's going to rival Microsoft's tools. So we could be looking for a move back up to 185, which could help the market simultaneously. So look for a little bounce there. For the triple Q, this thing is pushing in the after hours just a little bit. Looks bullish. I could see this thing testing 435 all over again. And if we break that, a bigger move to the upside is going to be coming. So I do believe this thing could push a little higher and we could be hitting 436.75. There is potential in this. It can push, so never ever lose faith solely based off your own ideas. Simply just look at the chart and look at what that's essentially telling you. Looking at some other tickers out there, we actually have Nvda right over here. Let me just reload my page for a second, guys. I think it kind of froze for a second. Nvda is in a very interesting place. This thing was uptrending. It's remained a little bit choppy right over here, and we'll just have to see how it moves. The chart is kind of frozen for me. I'm going to actually switch over to this side. Not sure what's going on, but on Nvda, in my opinion, also has that potential to try to bounce. We're kind of within a range right now, so we'll just have to see how well it tries to hold from this point on. I do apologize for that. I had a little glitch for a second. So like I said, we have this range right here at 725 as support. We're going to try to break above this and push up towards 740. If we get that break, look for a bigger move to the upside. I think that it's going to trade a little sideways for now, but look for that potential. Anyways, that is it for the video. Hope you guys have a great day. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO could attempt to push higher, look for a retest of 6 and a bounce. I still think NIO could do that, and once we get that bounce, we're going to be looking for 6.25 after that. So that's what I'm seeing for the chart, guys. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon. tomorrow. Thank you and peace out.